OK, now before we return to local news, we'll have a little bit of sport, and Elizabeth's going to start us off.
2 tries from Chris Ashton helped Saracens to boost their hopes of qualifying for the quarter-finals of the Heineken Cup, with a 39-10 bonus point win over Zebra in Italy on Saturday. George Cruz, Ernest Johob and Chris Wiles all scored tries in the first half as Sarries raced into a 25-0 lead. But they encountered more resistance in the second period and had to wait until the final 20 minutes for Ashton to claim his brace and ensure that they did secure maximum points. We gave them a lot of respect in the build-up to the game, and we knew how difficult it could have been, said Director of Rugby Mark McCall. We did a very clinical job, especially in the first half. The energy of the group in the opening 35 minutes was outstanding, and we took our chances when they were there. We did make a bit of heavy weather, getting the bonus point, but credit to Zebra because they came out in the second half and fought really hard. I'm delighted to have come away with the bonus point win. Meanwhile, Lock Hayden Smith has returned to Sarries after a spell away playing in the US National Football League. The American international decided to make the switch to American football 18 months ago and made 6 appearances playing at tight end for the New York Jets. But he was unable to establish himself and has now returned to rugby, increasing Saracens' options in the second row ahead of the retirement of skipper Steve Borthwick at the end of the season. It's fantastic to be back, Smith said. I learned a huge amount in the NFL, various elements that will help me become a better rugby player. But there's nothing like the Saracens environment, and I'm now completely focused on working hard and helping the squad achieve all of our goals. Saracens will have hosted Zebra in the return match on Saturday the 14th.
A second-half fight-back from Enfield Ignatians wasn't enough to peg back South Woodham Ferrers, who claimed a 43-36 win in London 2 North East on Saturday the 7th. Outplayed in the first period, Ignatians trailed 31-3 at the interval after conceding 5 tries and losing second-row Frank Stavrou to the sin bin. The only bright spot for the visitors was a solitary Jordan Wilson penalty. Ignatians scored early in the second period via Tom Killy from a catch and drive, but a 6th South Woodham try gave the home side a 30-point cushion. However, Ignatians redoubled their efforts, and in a 15-minute purple patch, Christian Adofu went over twice and Tom Jordan and Killy both touched down. Allied to 4 Wilson conversions, it set up a frantic finale as the Blue and Golds moved to within 2 points. Ignatians continued to apply pressure despite losing Tom Jordan to the sin bin, but South Woodham Ferrers had the final say and claimed a 7th and final try. It meant the visitors had to console themselves with 2 losing bonus points. Coach Emil Hertz said, "I'm gutted that this got away from us as we came back strongly. Steve Taylor and Jack North helped shore matters up in the second half, and I thought man of the match Christian Adofu was a revelation as he perfected the art of making something out of nothing. Tom Killy was our outstanding forward. He made some excellent carries, made his tackles and scored 2 tries. However, we paid for a poor first half performance."
This is about boxing. More than 400 people attended Edmonton Eagles amateur boxing show at the Haringey Irish Centre. Dignitaries, families, friends and supporters were entertained by 8 highly competitive bouts during the show at the centre in Pretoria Road, Tottenham. The evening also saw the club's Jack Peachy Achievement Award winners receive their medals. Eagles head coach Dr. Kostakis Evangelou said, "It was another hugely successful night for the club in providing an evening where our young stars gain experience of boxing competitively and an event for the whole community to come together and enjoy." For more information about the club, including its boxing sessions and school programs, call Julian on 07958 432 654. That's 07958 432 654. And now a bit about some more football. Enfield 1893 came from behind to secure a convincing 4-1 win at home to Tower Hamlets on Saturday and moved 3 points clear at the top of the Essex Senior League. The E's fell behind early on against a physical Tower Hamlets side, but John Bricknell got them back on level terms prior to the interval. However, it was not until the final 20 minutes that the hosts took control, with Bricknell putting them ahead, before Jack Leachman came out off the bench to score twice and seal an emphatic victory. Enfield 1893 hosts Hullbridge Sports on Saturday at 3 p.m.
New manager George Borg admits that he faces a challenge keeping Enfield Town in the Ryman Premier Division after taking charge of the side for the first time, but is optimistic that he'll be able to help them stave off the threat of the drop. The former Enfield FC boss was appointed as Steve Newing's replacement on Wednesday last week, and it initially looked as if Borg would get off to a winning start against Carshalton Athletic on Saturday, as goals from Liam Hope and Joe O'Brien saw them open up a 2-0 lead inside 20 minutes. However, Carshalton, who went into the match stuck at the foot of the table, hit back in the second half through Kingsley Akiombere and Brendan Murphy-McVeigh to leave Town 6 points adrift of safety and still without a league win since August. Borg said, "There's some good talent in the squad, but the players are not fit enough for this level of football. That came as a real shock to me, and in the last 25 minutes the lads were really treading water." They were honest enough to admit after the match that they don't think they've been properly fit all season, and we've got a lot of hard work to do to put that right. Despite the perilous nature of their position in the table, Borg, who spent 4 successful seasons in charge of the E's in the 1990s, is delighted to be back involved with football in Enfield. "It's a dream come true to be back, and it was an honour to be asked to take the job," he said. "It's a great club run by great people with fantastic supporters." And now we're back to the news with Elizabeth.
This is a letter from Mrs. K. Carroll of Cowdrey Close, Enfield. Enfield Council perceives to describe this festive season with a sad display of oblong and spherical illuminated shapes strung along Church Street and London Road in Enfield Town. These nondescript shapes, for what they're worth, might allude to paper money and coinage by their mere shape. One can be tempted to visualise cash registers working overtime in the run-up to Christmas. We pride ourselves in this country living in a multicultural and liberal society, where everyone is free to express their political, spiritual and cultural traditions without fear of offending our neighbours. If we believe in such liberalism, then why does our local authority show such reluctance in displaying Christian symbols to create a Christian festival? Excuse me. This is sheer hypocrisy on the part of the council, which in this case seems to be saying one thing and doing another. Christmas is a religious festival where Christians celebrate the birth of our Lord and Saviour Jesus Christ. I've no doubt that the non-Christian members of our society are all too happy to partake in the festive activities and long breaks from work. It may be that just a few conscientious people might not choose to celebrate and be prepared to go to work instead, and I respect their integrity. Come on, Enfield Council, stop the hypocrisy and live up to your liberal policies. Live and let live. Wishing you all a peaceful Christmas. I have to say, I quite agree that Mrs. Carroll is quite entitled to her opinion, but I drove through Enfield on my way here today, and I was most impressed with the decorations. I thought they were the best Enfield decorations that I had seen. They were lovely.
Yeah, we all think so.
The flags flying outside Enfield Council's headquarters are flying at half-mast this week to mark the death of Nelson Mandela. The first black president of South Africa died at his Johannesburg home last Thursday evening, aged 95. And in tribute to the Nobel Prize winner, who was imprisoned for 27 years because of his part in the fight against apartheid, the council lowered the flags to half-mast outside the Civic Centre in Silver Street on Friday. The practice of flying flags at half-mast is seen as a symbol of national mourning. Paying tribute to the man widely recognised as the father of South Africa's Rainbow Nation, Council leader Doug Taylor said, "We are deeply saddened to hear of the death of Nelson Mandela, one of the great statesmen of the last century. Without him, unity and reconciliation would not have been achieved in South Africa. He showed it is possible to achieve anything by demonstrating wisdom, integrity and determination, and he will be sorely missed across the world. The flags are expected to be kept at half-mast until after Mr Mandela's funeral on Sunday the 15th.
A Southgate school has been kitted out to play sport thanks to a donation from an education recruitment agency. STEP teachers purchased £1,000 worth of strips for Debourne Primary School football, rugby and netball teams, which were presented to pupils in a special assembly. The support from STEP's teachers ties in with the many steps Debourne is taking to move out of special measures, with sporting achievement targeted by head teacher Helen Pearson as a means to improve academic performance. She said, "I am very grateful to STEP teachers for this generous donation. I believe that children can raise their self-esteem by competing in sport. At Debourne, we are encouraging pupils to participate in many after-school clubs and take part in competitions." STEP teachers asked how they could support the school's progress, with Mrs Pearson saying that she wanted her pupils to be proud of their school and present them in borough-wide competition. Marios Georgiou, director of STEP's teachers and a parent of 3 children at the school, offered to purchase a kit for staff and students. He said, "I was keen to get involved in our local school and do something that had a direct impact on the children. Taking part in team sports was important for me when I was at school, and having a new kit should help the children feel proud of themselves and their school." Mrs Pearson is looking to use her experience at a school in Yorkshire, where she took out of special measures to be rated as outstanding. I think that should read, a school in Yorkshire which she took out of special measures to be rated as outstanding. She added, "If children achieve well in music, art or sport, then this will transfer into maths and literacy. I saw this in Yorkshire. Success is infectious. You always want to be part of a winning side." Mr Georgiou shares the fresh optimism at the school and hopes STEP teachers' donations can help towards achieving the wider Ofsted goal. He said, "Debourne is taking great steps to becoming an outstanding school. I'm sure it will achieve this in a sporting sense as well as an academic one."
2 teenagers have been charged with the murder of a 17-year-old from Palmer's Green. Krechnik Etimi, 18, from Muswell Hill, was remanded in custody after appearing at Highbury Corner Magistrates Court on Saturday, accused of the murder of Joshua Folkes in Bowes Road in the early hours of Tuesday, December the 3rd. He appeared at the Old Bailey yesterday, that's the 11th, along with a 17-year-old boy who was charged with murder on Sunday. Both were remanded in custody ahead of a plea and case management hearing on December the 17th. An 18-year-old was arrested on suspicion of murder on the morning of Wednesday the 11th, and at the time of going to press, he remained in custody at a North London police station.
With Victorian-themed fancy dress and the smell of roasting chestnuts pervading the air, families dived into the Christmas spirit in Enfield Highway this weekend. A Victorian fun day in Durance Park on Saturday gave children the opportunity to join in craft making, games and being entertained by actors decked out in authentic Victorian dress, as well as by live music. It was part of the 3-day Christmas Glow Festival, which also included boat trips on the River Lee, a skating rink and a festive craft market.
A young clarinet virtuoso from Enfield has spoken of his delight after winning a place in the National Youth Orchestra of Great Britain. James Gilbert, 15, of Graham Road, has been chosen as one of the orchestra's 165 young musicians who will rehearse and perform across the country in the coming year. More than 750 talented youngsters auditioned for a spot. James, who is in Year 11 at Latimer School in Hazelbury Road, Edmonton, the school this year's Mercury Prize winner James Blake went to, said he was ecstatic when he learned about his selection. "I was so happy," he told the Advertiser. "I tried to get into the orchestra last year, but only managed to get a reserved place, so it is great I have been successful this time around. I love playing in an orchestra. It involves such a great number coming together to make a huge sound. It's very powerful. I like all aspects of performing, and I enjoy a great variety of music, not just classical, but also jazz." The teenager, who was selected after auditions in front of world-class musicians, has also been a part of every national children's orchestra since he was 10 years old. James will be performing with the orchestra at the Barbican Hall in central London on January the 5th. Discounted tickets are available for young people. For more details, visit www.nyo.org.uk.
A new centre aiming to train hundreds of people as tilers and help them gain access to apprenticeships with building firms opened its doors on Monday. Learn to Tile, a centre based at a warehouse in Bull Lane, Edmonton, is managed and funded by Joseph McConnell, who has been a self-employed tiler for 17 years. Along with a number of partners, Mr. McConnell is hoping to train between 100 and 200 people a year, with short, intensive courses ranging between 1 and 4 weeks at the centre, where a number of mock bathrooms and kitchens have been installed. Mr. McConnell said the tiling trade would offer a lot of people a good way to make a living. There are lots of tiling jobs out there, either in construction or smaller jobs, with people doing up their houses, he said. It's a route into self-employment and the money is good. The courses we offer are intensive and we cover all aspects of the trade, including measuring and how to price tiling projects. Learn to Tile is finalising a deal with the Prince's Trust charity, which aims to help disadvantaged young people into employment to find a number of courses. It is also looking to establish relationships with schools and colleges in the North London area. Mr. McConnell is intending to use his contacts in the construction industry to help his students gain access to apprenticeships with building firms. He added, "There is not a smash and grab thing. We want to help people find apprenticeships and leading them to long-term employment." Edmonton MP Andy Love welcomed the opening of the centre. He said tiling is a skill that people can develop and is very useful in house building, do-it-yourself and home improvement, and one that will be critical in bringing about the new homes that will hopefully be built in Enfield over the coming years. Del Goddard, Enfield Councillor's Cabinet Minister for Business and Regeneration, said, "I am confident that as the centre grows, it will provide much-needed practical experience alongside other training facilities and courses in the construction industry and help deliver the major and minor schemes in the borough over the next few years." For more information about the centre, visit www.learntotile.co.uk.
More than 18 months of hard work was showcased after schools in the borough created their own football stories. Students from schools including Kingsmead and George Spicer Primary Schools, both in Southbury Road, Enfield, produced their own sporting tales by looking into the history of Enfield football. Enfield Football Tales was created by Enfield Town FC with the Beth Johnson Foundation, which works with the elderly. The aim of the project is to help those with memory loss in the borough use sport as a way of remembering. Teams from the schools presented their videos and messages at an event hosted by Enfield Town Football Club in Donkey Lane, Enfield. James Layton, 13, from Kingsmead School, said his team interviewed members of the current team along with other sides. He said, "We spoke to the manager, the supporters and relatives of players to make our video about Enfield football. We had a great time interviewing people, and I enjoyed asking other people about their memories of football." Judy Crabb, ambassador of the Beth Johnson Foundation, said, "This is a fantastic project because sport evokes a passion from all generations and is enjoyed by everyone. Not only does it bring people together, but it can also be used as a catalyst to bring back memories of those who have trouble with memory as they get older. The event brought together all the hard work of the students. Players of the past were invited to view their hard work, which was really lovely. Some of them hadn't seen each other in more than a decade. Other groups looked at the glittering history of Enfield Town FC in the 1970s and 80s, and women's and youth football in the borough today.
An Enfield man has been charged alongside a former X Factor judge with supplying drugs to an undercover journalist. Michael Coombs, 35, of Velocity Way, Enfield Lock, who is also known by his rapper moniker of Mike GLC, has been accused of supplying Class A drugs, while Toulouse Constavalos, 25, of Hatfield, Hertfordshire, has been charged with being concerned in the supply of Class A drugs. The two, who were arrested in June after police received information relating to the alleged supply of Class A drugs to an undercover reporter, have been bailed to appear at Westminster Magistrates Court on December the 19th.
Families came together to fight the flab and get into shape at the second pop-up fitness event. Babies, children, parents and grandparents attended the day of taster sessions. It was organised on Saturday at Merry Hills Primary School in Bincote Road, Enfield, by Kathy Underwood, founder of Yoga for Mums and the Enfield's Fit Team. The family fitness effort was the beginning of a campaign to target childhood obesity, a high priority in a borough where 13.7% of reception-age pupils have been categorised as obese, compared to 11% across London. We tried to make everything as family-oriented as possible, trying to make sure everybody could take part, said Kathy. The children just loved it. They took part in everything. The team realised how important it is to do something about the obesity problem now. It's something we have got to address, and I guess it's all to do with the lifestyle of being sat in front of the computer or TV, especially when it's cold outside. The day also raised hundreds of pounds for Noah's Ark Children's Hospice, which supports children with life-limiting illnesses and their families in North London. We tried to include an element of play into the classes, said Kathy. With my yoga session, we did it to dubstep and garage music to show you can have fun with it. People said they were surprised they could do the Thai boxing. They didn't realise what it would be like. We have lots of plans to do it again, she added. We will probably do a few events during the year. We want to do more projects with schools, or maybe get involved in school fetes, if the PTAs are interested.
Spitting in the streets of Enfield is now officially against the law. The bylaw which bans spitting in any of the borough streets came into effect on Sunday, with the result that from this week anyone who is caught hawking up by Enfield Council's anti-litter patrols will face a fine of up to £500. The move to criminalise the habit started with the Enfield Over 50s Forum presenting the council with a petition signed by nearly 5,000 people supporting the move to stamp it out. For 2 years, the council and the forum joined forces to lobby central government, campaigning for the Department for Communities and Local Government to write the bylaw into statute. And in July, after stringent criteria set by the government were met to the letter by the council, the law was set in stone, so that as of December the 8th it became a criminal offence to spit in Enfield. The council is the first local authority in the United Kingdom to introduce the powers of a bylaw to criminalise spitting. And as the offence has not now been written in statute, the punishment will not be a fixed penalty notice, but a statutory fine that could see offenders forced to cough up £500 or face a criminal prosecution.
Goodness.
Quite.
Campaigners against a housing development on a former university campus have thrown in the towel due to crippling court costs. Battling against Enfield Borough Council and developers L&Q Housing for nearly 3 years, protesters are devastated that they've had to concede defeat over the Cat Hill development. The leader of the campaign, Kim Coleman, has devoted years to saving the former Middlesex University campus, turning into 231 new homes. The grounds are home to wildlife such as newts, and the ponds that are within the site are mentioned in the Doomsday Book. However, a judicial review process needed upwards of £20,000, and the campaign group only managed to raise £7,000. Mrs. Coleman said, "I'm devastated. This is how it's ended. I think our case was very good, but the cost was too great. Enfield Council failed to consult the Woodland Trust, English Heritage and the Forestry Commission before going ahead with the proposals. That was our case. However, despite the blow, the Mansfield Avenue resident believes some positives can be taken from the battle. She said, "We formed a new Cat Hill Area Residents Association and will now be able to fight as a stronger force against any decisions in the local area. I've learnt a lot about court appeals, and next time this happens, we won't be caught out."
Mental health bosses have been accused of showing poor leadership after failing to act sufficiently on criticisms by a health watchdog. An inspection by the Care Quality Commission of 3 mental health wards at Chase Farm Hospital in the Ridgeway, Enfield, revealed a need for action to be taken in 4 out of 6 standards, including patient care and safety of premises. The report followed a CQC inspection of the same wards in March, when the Trust was criticised for not protecting patients against inappropriate care. The Barnet, Enfield and Haringey Mental Health Trust, which manages the wards, was also accused of failing to keep appropriate care records, and even though the Trust had made improvements to the wards, the report revealed instances of poor interaction with patients and poorly organised mealtimes. Staff were heard using inappropriate and infantile language, with one referring to a patient as "good girl." On another ward, patients were unable to eat together, with many being allowed to wander off while waiting for meals. The report said that while there were significant improvements in the care provided to patients in one ward, others were still failing to make the grade. It said, "This shows poor leadership as lessons from the failings in one part of the hospital are not being robustly applied across other wards." The Trust spokesman said it was responding to the report in several ways, including reviewing mealtime processes and the safety of premises. He said, "We're pleased that in the latest report the CQC noted the improvements made as a result of previous feedback. However, it is clear there are further improvements we need to make, and we have taken immediate action to address this. Our mental health services are under significant pressure at the moment, but our staff continue to work hard to make sure that patient safety and experience are not compromised."
We've reached the end of our programme for this week. Thanks for listening. And from the team of Elizabeth, Katherine, Audrey, myself, Malcolm, and Dave on the controls, it's goodbye.
Goodbye.
And now, I know you know this, but please remember to turn over the address label in your postal packet, put the cassette into the packet, and return it to us as soon as possible.